Hi friends! Today we are going to use objects to learn more about multiplication and division. So I have some pencils here. Let's count how many I have. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I want to take my 15 brand new pencils and I want to put them in these nice containers here. I have 5 containers and I want to put my pencils in them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 15 pencils and I'm going to put 1 pencil in each container until they're all gone. Right now I had my total of 15 and I am dividing them or breaking them apart into equal groups. I am not adding more pencils or taking away pencils. I am just breaking them apart into equal groups so we can have the same amount in each bucket. Okay, all my pencils are gone. So how many do I have in each bucket? Well, there's 3 in this bucket, and 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 there's 3 in this bucket. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups of 3. So I'm going to write an equation. I started with 15 pencils. I divided those pencils evenly into 5 buckets. And I figured out that there are 3 in each bucket. That is my division equation because I took 15 and I broke them apart. All right, so now let's change this to a multiplication equation. Let's say I walked into a classroom and I saw these 5 groups of pencils and I knew that there were 3 in each group. Well, I would say I had 5 groups times the 3 in each group to figure out how many I had in all. And we can count by 3s. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So I have 2 matching equations here. I have 15 divided by 5 equals 3, and I have 5 times 3 equals 15. Let's figure out what each of these numbers stands for. I know in my division equation that my 15 was my total number of pencils. So underneath 15, I'm going to write total pencils because we want to make sure that we have everything labeled correctly. I know that I divided them into these 5 buckets, and the buckets are my groups. So I divided them into 5 groups, and I solved for how many were in each group. So we figured out there were 3 pencils in each group. So this is the size of the group, or the number in each group. So I just labeled my division equation. Now I want to go back and label my multiplication equation, and everything should match up if I did it correctly. So my 5 in my multiplication equation still stands for the 5 buckets or the 5 groups because I didn't change anything. I still have 5 buckets or 5 groups. The 3 still stands for how many pencils are in each group because if you look, there's still 3 pencils in each group. So that's still the size of each group. And the 15 stands for the total amount of pencils because if I put all these together and count them, I still have 15 pencils. So that is my total number of pencils. So here I have 2 matching equations, and all I did was I changed the numbers around. For our second problem, I have some erasers and they're grouped in equal groups. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 groups, and each group has 5 erasers in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for this problem, I'm going to try to figure out how many erasers are in all. So I know that I have 4 groups of 5 because there are 5 in each group. So I know that I have 4 groups of 5. We are looking for how many in all, how many total erasers are there. So we are going to put all these together and figure out how many we have. So we have 4 groups of 5, and what does that equal? Well, let's count by 5s. We have 5, 10, 15, 20. So I didn't have to count each one. I know I have a total of 20 erasers. Well, let's figure out what each of these numbers mean. So I know that the 4 stands for how many groups. I know that the 5 stands for the size of the group. And I know that the 20 stands for the total erasers. So now that I've labeled my problem, I can go and change this to make it a division equation. We have a multiplication equation here. Now we're going to change it to a division equation. So, what are my total number of erasers? Well, I've already counted them. I know that there's 20 total. So, we know when we write a division equation, we start with the total. So we're going to say 20. And we already have them divided here into how many groups? 1, 2, 3, 4. We've already divided them into 4 groups. So how many are in each group? Well, we already know that because we filled it out in our multiplication equation. We know that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in each group. So now we have a division equation that matches our multiplication equation. So let's label our division equation. We know that the 20 stands for the total erasers. We know that the 4 is the number of groups. And we know that the 5 is the size of the group. So all we did was change our numbers around to make a division equation. The total are the same. The number of groups are the same. And the size of the groups stayed the same.